Hey everybody, what's going on? Mark here from TST Industries, and I'm out in the wilderness here in Daytona Beach at Daytona International Speedway. And right next to me is our all-new 2025 Yamaha YZF-R9. And today's video, we'll be doing a first ride review on this all-new model offering from Yamaha. Now, before we actually throw a leg over and go for a ride and give you my honest and unbiased opinions, I want to bring you all the brochure talking points to highlight a few key features that Yamaha likes to highlight at their dealerships and during demo rides. So first, starting with the power plant, we have an 890cc triple CP3 motor, the same motor we all know and love that we first saw in 2014 on the FZ09, and in the 11 years it's been produced, we have seen drastic improvements to this machine. It's a very robust motor. Now, obviously, we do see the same rear sets we saw on the MT-09 with two adjustable mounting positions. However, new on this bike, which I do not believe is on the MT-09, we have a new introduction on the shifter side, and you can now enable GP shift on your stock rear sets. You also have the third generation Yamaha quick shifter, which works like butter, and all that is paired with a ride-by-wire system, which we all know and love. The auto blipper on this thing is buttery smooth, and that is all wrapped with the lightest aluminum frame that Yamaha has ever offered on their Super Sport model. So what does that mean in terms of weight? Well, you're tipping the scales at a whopping 430 pounds wet. And for reference, that is only 5 pounds heavier than the fourth generation MT-09, which we've also done a first ride review on last year. So if you haven't already, be sure to check that out. We found out what's powering the drivetrain, but how do you stop all that power? Well, Brembo radial master cylinder up front, paired with Brembo Stylema calipers for the front brakes. Those grip onto 320 millimeter discs up front, and on the rear, we have a 220 millimeter disc. We have KYB suspension, front and rear, fully adjustable, meaning you have all that power, you have all that braking power. Now you're planted firmly and stiffly onto the ground to ensure that you are getting proper feedback. And that's also paired with a 6-axis IMU that is fully adjustable. We have a full tech suite on this bike. Slide control, lift control, power modes, braking control, engine braking. Everything is fully customizable. You have 3 riding modes, 2 custom riding modes, so 5 in total, and you can turn off a bunch of these features. But something new that we didn't see on the MT-09 that is introduced on this new R9 is an electronic pit board and track mode. And we've also seen the introduction of the YVSL, which is the Yamaha variable speed limiter. Now, we saw cruise control on the MT-09. We also see that on the R9, but the new mode is the speed limiter mode. And I was thinking to myself, why would they offer a speed limiter? Well, it's because they now offer launch control. And I don't know if that's a byproduct, one versus the other, the chicken or the egg came first, but you can now control your speed limit, set a speed limit, and make sure that the bike does not exceed that. Very, very interesting things. And again, this is a tech suite. Smartphone connectivity, GPS, weather, message and music control, phone control, everything on there via the Y Connect app, which is available on the App Store and Google Play Store for free. You also have a Type-C charger underneath the seat, so if you need to hook up any devices, you can power them via the dedicated Type-C port. We have this aggressive R styling. And what I mean by R styling is, well, it's a YZF-R9. And if you look at some of the other YZF-R models, like the R7, the R3, even the R6 in track mode, and the R1, of course, we have these very aggressive cues. The tail section and tail light, very similar. We have that single bulb up front for the headlight right in the center. That's something we've seen on a few models, including the new R3 and the R7. We also have these dedicated running lights, front turn signals in the mirror, so if you ditch those, you lose your signals. Something to keep in mind. Now, I did mention the suspension. It is fully adjustable, and on the rear, it is important to note that you do have a remote reservoir for the rear shock. Now, all this power, all this tech, all this braking power, you are planted on the ground with these S22 tires. And for all you short riders out there interested in seat height, you have a 32.7-inch seat height compared to the MT-09, which comes in at about 32.5 inches. And all that is wrapped with a price of $12,500 US MSRP. And for reference, against the MT-09, which is about 10.6. You're looking at about a $2,000 increase for the all-new R9 over the MT-09. That's all I've got for the brochure talking points. I know you all are dying to see what this bike is really about in usable power and putting all this on the road. So let's go ahead, gear up, throw a leg over, and begin our actual first ride review.
I can tell you right off the bat, just getting on this bike, turning it on and going, without really changing anything. You know, we have all stock foot controls, hand controls, ergonomics, everything is stock on that aspect. For a super sport, this machine is very, very comfortable. Got that quick shifter working, buddy. But yes, this bike is very comfortable for being a super sport, and the only thing I could really compare that to is the R6 and the R7, which are the other two bikes, super sport bikes that Yamaha offers. And both of those bikes kill my back. Maybe it's just me personally, maybe it's because it's the stock controls, I'm not sure. But I will tell you that ergonomically, stock to stock, this bike is very, very comfortable, way more comfortable than the R6 and R7. And you get a lot more features, a lot more power, a lot more fun, and a lot more smiles for all the miles you're gonna put on it. It's a very, very user-friendly bike with all the rider aids, but still has that super sport heritage that we know and love from Yamaha. So major kudos to Yamaha. Just my initial thoughts on how the ergonomics feel. Your hand controls, everything is right here within reach. Your foot controls, for me, I'm 5'7", 190 pounds. My legs are in the perfect place, and that is something I would like to highlight is, you know, doing the MT-09 first ride review, I noted that it felt like a very wide bike. And although I know it has the same power plant, this bike doesn't feel as wide. And I don't know if it's a direct result of it having front fairings and everything seems a little more spaced out. Maybe it's a placebo effect. But overall, this bike doesn't feel as wide at the at your leg portion, at your groin portion, compared to the MT-09. Again, I could be completely wrong. It could be a placebo effect. I'm just giving you feedback on what I feel and how I'm interpreting this. The brakes, obviously with it being a Brembo master cylinder paired with the Stylema calipers and those big chunky rotors, you get a ton of braking power, and you can feel it almost immediately. The moment you tap your brakes, you can feel the bike just wanting to stop. So major kudos to Yamaha on that aspect. I do, however, have one small gripe. I wish that they actually, I'm going to take that back, because now that I look, there are adjustable levers. They're not the typical lever adjusters, but they do have the screw-on adjuster on the back portion of the lever near the fulcrum, where you can actually adjust the distance. I was just about to say I wish they put adjustable levers on this bike, but they did. So another point for Yamaha, and I will take a point away from me because of my lack of awareness on that aspect. Now the throttle response on this bike is wonderful. Obviously, MT-09 we're very familiar with. It is the master of torque, and you feel that torque all through the power range. Same on this machine. Even though it's the super sport version, you would think that maybe they messed with the torque figures. I don't think that's the case. It is very, very torquey. As a matter of fact, let me just show you. I'm in third gear going 46 at about 4,600 RPMs, and if I just crack it open, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, right? Like Yamaha, again, you, as the youths say it, I glazed the MT-09. Yeah, bro, it's the same for this bike. For it being a super sport, it is a phenomenal ride. It is very fun, very peppy, and this cruise control, I mean, ride safely within your means. But this right here, look, man, no hands. This is incredible. We've seen cruise control on other machines like BMWs. Obviously there are aftermarket cruise control options like the Atlas cruise control and things like that. This being default on a Super Sport, I love. It just gives you that opportunity to, even just for a few seconds, take your hands off the clip-ons, or at least your throttle hand, stretch out those muscles and those nerves so you don't feel the numbness of just riding. Because let's face it, if you buy this bike, you're going to be riding all the time. I promise you. Now, we have been posting on it on our Facebook page and on our social media, and we have been getting some polarizing views and opinions on this bike. Everything from R9 and R7 is the reason why leader bikes are so expensive now, to this bike is a hunk of garbage, it's still slow, it's slower than an R6. And I will tell you right now that if you have not ridden one, if you have not sat on one, if you have not looked at the papers, you are doing yourself a disservice. Because this bike, along with the MT-09 and the XSR 900 and the Tracer 9 GT, is quite possibly one of the most reliable and fun platforms that you can find yourself on. And that's me like dumbing it down a little bit. It is so user friendly and so fun. And sure, the winglets, there's polarizing opinions on that. I have my own opinions I'll keep to myself. But the bike itself is an aesthetic and engineering masterpiece. I love it. There's my boy with our tail light on his bike. Love it. I don't know who that is, but I saw him riding earlier. But this bike is really just a masterpiece. This is Yamaha. I have really no words for how well refined this machine is. Can it be improved? Absolutely. We have seen our buddies over at Two Wheel Dynaworks, Nate and the crew. They've been working on these bikes in secret for a little while now, working with select race teams. They can't really talk too much about it. I won't talk about it either. However, they have been working on this bike. They are very familiar with this platform. And there are a few things that race teams are doing to these bikes to enhance the performance. One of which is getting the Tracer 9 swing arm on it and extending the wheelbase. But other than that, you swap your clip-ons and your footrests, get some aftermarket rear sets, and all of a sudden this bike goes from being great to being almost perfect. Obviously, you know, with respect to your personal preferences and such. But it really is just a well-refined machine. So major kudos to Yamaha. The sound, even with the stock exhaust, is wonderful. Now, we saw on the MT-09, they had these acoustic, what did they call them? I apologize in advance because I haven't looked at the MT-09 stats in quite some time. But they have these acoustic channels that are aimed at feeding noise back into the rider cockpit so that you can hear the motor better. We don't see it on this bike. We have these vents up here right underneath, right on the gas tank cover, that go right above the airbox and the fuel tank. But there's no noise enhancer of any sort on this bike, and it still sounds great even with the stock exhaust. I can only imagine, after hearing our MT-09 with the Yoshimura on it, how great this bike will sound. Performance to be determined, obviously. We know it is the same motor, but the motor mount, the exhaust mounts are different, so I can imagine the exhausts are going to be different, which may mean different performance gains compared to the MT-09. But overall, the sound, the ergonomics, and the aesthetics are all big hits for me. The winglets, again, you know, polarizing feature. Personally, I like them. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I do like them. I like the look. And what I really like is that Yamaha did this paint scheme, because it doesn't look like every other Yamaha out there. You get the Team Yamaha blue or the black one, and sure, they all look the same. But this red and white one, they've really reserved for like the 60th anniversaries, which I really like. This isn't the 60th anniversary, but you still get that red, white, and black color scheme, so big fan of it. Let's go ahead and throw our cruise control on, and so I can talk a little bit more without being hunched over. Now, the seat height is a little tall. Personally, at 5'7", I think it's perfect. I think the footrests, actually, the foot pegs in particular, I think they get in my way more than the seat height is an issue. But that's just my personal preference. I do think that, you know, with aftermarket rear sets, you move them back a little bit and higher, and then all of a sudden you have proper clearance everywhere. But the seat is wonderful. It's very soft and plush. Ton of room. So right now I'm sitting a little forward, but if I go into a full tuck and I just scoop my rear end back quite a bit, there's so much real estate back there. And if I go into a full tuck, you can see here, like, I mean, you are really able to just get into this machine and crack that throttle open to just go. I do think, obviously, you throw in some aftermarket clip-ons, rear sets, you can really adjust the ergonomics even more and make them better for you. But right out of the crate, right off the showroom floor, this bike is, in my opinion, ready to go to the track. Now, putting around town, personally, I would probably prefer the MT-09 over this, just because I do like that more upright seating position. I think it's a more intuitive and friendly ride. But if you buy this bike and you do commute on it, I don't really see an issue, at least not yet. And being that I've ridden the MT-09 a ton, and I did the highway test, and, you know, obviously on a naked bike the aerodynamics are almost non-existent, I can only imagine on this one how good they are. So before we head back to the shop, where I give you a lot of my final thoughts on this machine, because I know I've said a lot, I've been having fun on this bike. It's really hard to kind of keep focus on what I want to talk about, but I covered everything: power delivery, rideability, the ergonomics, the sound. My feet and my hands aren't getting a ton of vibrations, which we have our R3 rider review coming up, first rider review for the 2025 3rd gen. And I will tell you right now that just riding the bike around, getting a feel for it, I get a ton of vibrations. That's not the case on this machine. So the tires feel nice and sticky, nice and planted. The suspension, obviously you can adjust it to your liking. Always set your preload and your sag, right? That's like number one. Talk to Dave Moss, talk to Thermos Man, talk to your local suspension guy. They will tell you, at minimum, set your preload. Don't be that guy. But the fact that you have fully adjustable suspension, front and rear, with the remote reservoir on the rear, I mean, they really wrapped a luxury watch in a Walmart bag with this. You know, I think that they could have gotten away with charging a little bit more. Personally, hot take, unopinion, or hot take, unpopular opinion. I think that they could have gone up in price just a little bit on this machine, and people would have still been happy, because the value that you get here is just, it's insane. It really is. This bike makes me want to get a new helmet so I can tuck in even further and have a lot more viewing angles. But before I head back to the shop, I do want to go ahead and actually put this on the highway. So we are going to do a quick highway run. It's going to be from one exit to the next, obviously within full legal riding conditions. If you are going to stretch this bike out, stretch its legs out, I should say, don't stretch the bike, don't throw an extended swing arm. But if you are going to stretch the bike's legs and actually see what the top speed is, do it safely, do it in an environment that you have complete control over, and it is safe and not on a public road. We do not condone that. We do not encourage it. So please ride within legal means and within your riding skill. But with that said, I will be going on the highway now. We're going to give it a nice little pull, maybe go up to 80. Might get here pretty quick, so I might have to go up to 90. But just to give you an idea of how the aerodynamics are on this machine. I mean, man, it really is just buttery smooth. I'm already at 60 in third gear with a lot of room to go, so we'll see what we can do here. All right, so we're gonna slow down a tiny bit. I got no traffic coming, so we're gonna do a 40 to 80 pull, and 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Yep. Charges to the game. I'm getting myself an R9. Buttery smooth on the quick shifter. No hesitation on throttle with the ride-by-wire system. I do still think second gear, it's a little choked up, as we saw with the MT-09. They did kind of tune down second gear just a little bit. They got rid of some of that hooligan aspect while still allowing you to be a hooligan by detuning second gear. I think we saw on the MT-09, I would have to look at the ETVs here, but for the electronic throttle, we actually saw that in second gear, even at 100% throttle opening, you never get 100% throttle. So that was a little interesting to find out. And I'm curious to see if it's the same on the R9. So, with all that in mind, we are now going to head back to the shop, and I'm going to give you my final debriefing, my final thoughts on this new machine from Yamaha, the all-new 2025 YZF-R9. I hope you stick around. If you're still here, I appreciate you. We all appreciate you for watching and sticking along. This has been a journey of mine to become a better... I'm just a rider, you know. I just ride. I like riding. I'm not a vlogger. I'm not a content creator. I'm not an influencer. So getting into this mindset has been a big project for me. I've been reviewing my deliveries and my actions and stuff. And I appreciate you all for the support and for watching this far into the video. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. You know, give me your feedback. Let me know what I could be doing more or less of. If you want to see more of the influencer style stuff, you know, some midnight rollers pointing at the fairings, jumping up and down, whatever, you know, we could do some of that. But for now, I'm gonna fuel up here, and then we're gonna head back to the shop and give you my final debriefing. So stick around, and I'll see you guys soon.
Whew. All right, well, here we are back at the HQ for my final thoughts on the all-new 2025 Yamaha YZF-R9. Now, if for some reason you're just joining in, you may have missed the giant riding segment where I said just how impressed I was with this machine, and that really cannot be overstated. This is not just an MT-09 with fairings, and I want to make that very clear that with the changes Yamaha has introduced on this machine, the super lightweight frame, the upgraded suspension, even the tech suite being upgraded from what was already magnificent on the MT-09. This is way more than just an MT-09 with fairings. This is a full super sport machine that is ready to turn laps and bring a ton of smiles to people's faces. Subtle things like the track mode with the launch control, even upgraded 90-degree valve stems coming by default, the new wheels, and a super light frame. I mean, all of this just screams value, best bang for your buck. And whether you're putting around town, going on spirited rides through the canyons or on back roads through the woods, or turning laps at the track, this bike is suited for it all. And I think with a few minor tweaks to some personal preference items like the levers and rear sets, you can really hone in this machine even more and make it more remarkable than it already is. And I think right now the scarcity of this bike, with also the preconceived notions that this is an R6 replacement, people need to get that all out of their heads. If you have the ability to go to your local Yamaha dealership or talk to a rider in your area who purchased one, get their opinion on it. Listen to more YouTubers and content creators, get their opinions. I think the overwhelming message that a lot of people are going to put out is just how well put together this machine is. So I thank you all for watching. This has been a very fun video of mine. I was super excited when they announced the R9. In my MT-09 video, again, I stated the MT-09 is almost perfect, but I wish we had a favored version. We finally got it, and Yamaha definitely brought the party favors to the party. So again, I thank you all for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you found this video helpful and useful, give us a thumbs up. We'd love to know that we are doing you justice and bringing this content to you guys. I'm not a content creator or an influencer of any sorts. I'm a guy who works at a company that makes badass motorcycle parts. And a perk of the job is I get to ride bikes and give you my first ride review thoughts. So again, hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. A ton more first ride reviews coming up on a bunch of new models, step-by-step installation videos, some entertaining bits, we do it all. If you haven't already, stop by our website, tstindustries.com. We've already done parts compatibility on this machine, so we have a category built out with parts we know will fit. We're also going to be designing some new parts, so be sure to stay tuned. Check out our website, tstindustries.com. And of course, before you go, we always encourage you, stop by our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, Threads, all username TST Industries. We put out posts daily. That's kind of the go-to place if you're trying to keep an eye out on potential sales, new products coming, things like that. Social media is the place to go. Again, thank you all for watching. Hug your loved ones, ride safe. We will catch you next time. Take care.